Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Your Pleasure Incorporated into Daily Living. I'm your host, Ellen Nicholas Rathbone, sensuality consultant, life coach, and personal trainer. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects in the whole world, and that is getting energy from the earth. It's called earthing or grounding, and it's like getting a daily dose of vitamin G, as in the ground. Now, there's a lot of research on this since 1998 when this fellow right here, his name is Clinton Ober. He was a cable guy, and he had his trials and tribulations, and he ended up finding out about earthing and testing it and getting the science taken care of and investing a lot of time and money in realizing that this earth is a huge battery and we are like the cells on that battery. So I don't want to talk about this by myself. I am very, very lucky to have a guest with me tonight. In fact, this fellow introduced me to the concept of earthing, and he knows the science about it. And so I'd like to bring on a good friend and lover of mine, Bruce Rathbone. So let's bring him on. There he is. Hi, Bruce.
Good evening, Ellen.
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining me on this talk.
Sure.
Now we started using an earthing mat in September of 2020. Now, where did you hear about it, and what impressed you about it from the beginning?
Well, I've always been interested in magnetism, and I was researching some magnetic qualities of the Earth and gravity, and an issue came up about grounding, and one thing led to another, and I found out that grounding is also healthy for human beings. And that's what launched me onto the earthing mat and grounding stage of investigation.
Right. We started sleeping on an earthing sheet in September of 2020. And at that time, my cholesterol level was what they considered on the high side, but that's, not really high, but they considered it high. And my blood pressure was 120 over 80, which for many people is considered excellent. So we started sleeping on this grounding sheet in September, and mid-October, I had a doctor's appointment where I got my blood pressure taken, and it was 114 over 82. I couldn't believe it. Nothing changed other than the fact that I was sleeping on this earthing mat sheet. And then about 2 months later in January, I got my blood taken and my cholesterol level was down 40 points. So one of the things that I've realized about earthing is that it reduces the amount of inflammation in your body. And inflammation is the root cause of every disease, every single one. So would you like to expound on the properties of the exchange of electrons between humans and the earth and where that energy goes?
Okay, sure. I'll try not to get too technical, but I feel it's important to explain some of the basics.
Okay.
Everybody's familiar with electricity in the house. Well, electricity comes off the street in the positive into the house, and it goes out of the house into the ground. So the earth is a negative conduit for the electricity in your house. Half of it comes from the street, the other half goes into the ground. It's a circuit. Every electric flow has to have a circuit. So the earth is nothing more than a larger version of that. Some people have likened it to a battery, and there are some similarities. Again, electricity has to have a flow, and to have a flow, you have to have a negative and a positive. Well, the Earth's core is positive and the Earth's surface is negative, so you have a flow there, creating electrical charge.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the ionosphere, our atmosphere, receives particles from the sun, and those are charged, and they interact with the molecules in our atmosphere and with the magnetic fields in our atmosphere and create charges also. So our atmosphere has a charge. When the atmosphere gets out of balance with the earth, we have lightning, because lightning exchanges the electricity from the atmosphere to the earth and balances everything. And everything in nature has to have a balance. If you put
Us too.
yes, us too.
Right. Us
If
too.
you put a hot piece of steel and a cold piece of steel next to each other, they'll eventually both become warm because they're trying to balance out. And the same thing happens with electricity. So whenever you get a buildup of one or the other, you have to have an exchange. There are 1,000 lightning strikes every minute somewhere on the earth. So that's the exchange that happens all the time.
Right.
So
Okay. So we as humans have a positive electrical charge, and the earth has a negative electrical charge. And so the point of earthing is to put your bare feet on the ground, whether it's grass, dirt, sand, water, or wood, but it can't be treated wood and it can't be blacktop. It can be cement, though. And if your feet are wet or moist, the moisture acts as a conduit between your nerve endings and the surface of the earth. And you had said something, and I want you to tell everybody what you said about the bottom of the feet, and how they relate to all the different organs in your body. So why it's so beneficial to ground, especially with just your feet.
all right, well, I think I need to go back a little bit first and say that, our body, as you mentioned, is an electrical circuit. Information travels through our body on a nervous system, which conducts those information and the messages electrically and chemically. They both interact with each other, creating a polarity where it's receptive to the chemicals. So, in order for a body to become positively charged, the air around the earth, when the wind blows, when dust particles move, they hit other things, they create friction, and you create a charge. One piece of that contact gets a positive, one gets a negative. But our atmosphere, the air builds up positive, and with all the mechanisms that we have going on, air conditioners, machinery of any type, they create positive ions. Positive ions are absorbed into our body through various methods, and we become out of balance or charged positively because of that.
Right.
In order
And
to
the charge and the positive charge within our body has no place to go,
right,
because we are insulated from the earth by wearing sneakers or any rubber-soled shoes.
right.
Right?
Years ago, until I believe it was the 1960s or whenever the
68, actually. 68.
68,
Yeah.
when non-conductive shoes were created, plastic shoes or rubber shoes. Prior to that, we had animal skins, or we had leather-soled shoes.
Right.
Even during the manufacturing era of our country, we still had leather-soled shoes, which were conductive to the
Right.
earth.
Right.
So that positive charge that was created in our body by mechanisms and by the air around us was able to dissipate through our feet, which were conductive, to the ground. But since 1968, when non-conductive shoes were created, we're no longer doing that.
Right. I want to mention something right here. Hold on to your thought. In 68, the spike of sneakers went up like
Manufacturer
like a roller coaster beginning. It just like swooped right up. That was the sale of sneakers from 1968 when they first started. They became very popular and it shot up. Strangely enough and oddly enough, so did the rate of inflammatory diseases. At that same time, at that same rate, inflammatory diseases all shot up, and doctors could not figure out why. All of a sudden, they had been, not that people weren't having their issues, but at that same spiking rate that the shoe sales for sneakers went up, so did inflammatory diseases. Because as people became less and less connected to the earth, the positive electrons inside their body had no place to go. They're bouncing around inside. They're causing free radicals. The free radicals are causing inflammation inside our body. And inflammation, as anybody knows, is the root cause of all disease. So I'm not saying that earthing in itself will cure a disease. I don't say that at all. But I know for a fact, just through my own experience, that it most definitely will reduce the inflammation and the pain and help you to heal so much better within your body, the skin, the organs, everything benefits when you are earthing.
Right. So moving forward from that point, we have our nervous system, which conducts not only electricity, but also chemicals. The electricity, the nervous system is connected to nerves that terminate in the hands and the feet. And anybody who's familiar with reflexology can look at a reflexology chart or talk to someone who practices it and see that each section of the hands or the feet is associated with an organ in the body. In other words, those nerves go from, say, the feet to your liver directly. There's nerves on another part of your foot that goes to your spleen, to your stomach, whatever the
to
organ,
your brain, your eyes,
right,
heart, everything.
whatever the
Yes.
part of body might be.
Right.
So I've always wondered for years why, nerves that are associated with organs directly terminate in the feet and the hands. And I came to a hypothesis, which I haven't found anybody online that would confirm it. But if we were getting balanced charges from the earth by walking on the earth or touching the earth with our hands, that would be the reason to deliver that directly to our organs, to get a direct connection between the earth and our organs, to get the most benefit from the negative ions that the earth delivers to balance out our positive body ions.
Right. Now I believe that there are a couple of different methods to get an earthing charge. One of them is to go outside and just go on whatever grass or earth that you have available to you. That works in New Jersey for the spring, the summer, and the fall. It doesn't work very well in the winter when there's snow on the ground. So then that is why it's a really good idea to have either an earthing mat or an earthing sheet. And earthing sheet is good. You can sleep on it. You have to have a sheet between you and the earthing sheet. You have to sleep nude so that most of your body is sweating on your sheet. The sweat acts as a conductor down to the earthing sheet beneath it. And then you get at least 6 to 8 hours of earthing on a regular basis without even having to think about it. But I still believe that earthing on an earthing mat is much better because your bare feet are right on it. Your feet are very sweaty and you get that moisture and you get that conductivity. And because you are doing sort of a form of reflexology by putting your feet directly on the mat, every single organ in your body gets the benefit, because you might have nerve endings around your body, but you don't have concentrated nerve endings like you do on your feet all over your body. So sleeping on it is definitely a benefit, but I think putting your feet on it is really the quickest way to heal. And I know from things that I've read and from my own experience that 20 to 30 minutes a day is really all you need. 20 to 30 minutes a day of plugging in and getting this vitamin G from the earth that will help you to stay healthy. And if you have been injured, to heal faster. And I want to show you a picture real quick. This is a picture of a guy's knee from the Tour de France. Okay. So the top one there is the original injury after they healed it. And then, after they sewed it up and tried to fix it. And the one under here is 24 hours later. 24 hours later. Look how much this leg has healed up. They put grounding electrodes around it. And within 24 hours, it healed that much. This is something that everybody should know. Everybody should know how important it is to ground on a daily basis, to earth on a daily basis. And having said that, to the listening audience out there, www.earthing.com/movie is a place to go and hear about the science. And Earthing Institute.com is, or no, I'm sorry, .net. So www.earthinginstitute.net is a place you can go to get more frequently asked questions answered and more information. So it's the source, and I'm just a proponent of it and someone who has benefited from it tremendously. Would you say that you have also benefited from earthing, personally speaking?
Absolutely, from healing cuts to sore muscles, and there's so much research out there coming up now, which indicates that it's benefiting everything from mental health to sleeping better to relaxing. There's just so much research going on now that it's an up and coming science, and I think they're going to find more and more things that benefit the human body, because it puts the body back in balance. If you're like I say, the energy, the electricity has to flow, and if you have a buildup of positive, it's not going to flow because you need negative for it to flow to. And if it's not flowing, it's not moving the chemicals around your body that are helping to heal it.
Right.
So it just makes a lot of sense.
Right. Some of the ailments that have been mentioned in this phenomenal book are relief from allergies. That's a biggie for so many people. Knee pain. One woman had osteopenia, and her doctor wanted to give her meds or whatever they wanted to give her, but she found out about earthing, and 3 years later of just steadily just earthing, no pills, no nothing, complete reversal and seriously good bone density, so that you would have never ever known that she even had osteopenia, which is the very beginning of osteoporosis. Also, and I found this to be wonderful, relief in back pain, and this is a biggie for many people, helping to reduce autism meltdowns. Okay, what happens when a person is earthing? I'm not saying that it's a cure, but it definitely has a healing effect to the individual who is on the scale of autism, different levels of autism. And it actually helps with depression too, relieving depression. Now, people say to me, Ellen, my doctor never told me anything about this. Doctors don't know anything about this. Most doctors have no clue, just like they don't have a clue about proper nutrition and how to use food as medicine. They don't have a clue about that. They're funded by Big Pharma. So this is something you can actually do for free. But the one thing that you have to remember to actually make it happen is it must be a cumulative effect. That means that you have to do it every day, 20 to 30 minutes. And people say, oh, I don't have 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, you do. If you sit down and watch any television, or sit at your laptop, or sit for any extended period of time, you have at least that amount of time right there to put your feet on an earthing mat. Now, tell us about earthing mats, and just give us a little bit of an understanding about them so people can understand that they're safe.
Okay, well, an earthing mat is nothing more than a conductive surface with a wire attached, which is attached to a receptacle, a plug like this, which you can have to put into the wall. Now, why does it go into the wall? Before I get into the plug, it goes into the wall because every house is grounded. I said that before. For electricity to flow through a house, you have to have a connection to the earth. All right. So every house, well, it's code now. It wasn't 100 years ago, but most houses today have a ground wire on
Right.
every receptacle, every outlet in the wall that
Right.
goes to a rod that's driven into the ground that connects it to the ground.
Right.
So the part of it that connects to the ground is the round part of the plug, which you see here as the round brass one. Now, normally a plug has two conductive prongs here, which actually conduct the electricity. The ground is just a safety measure.
Right.
So the two that connect the electricity are conductive, and
Look
they
it up
are
a
not
little.
used in a grounding mat. The only prong that's used in a grounding mat is the round one.
Would you look? There you go. Thank you.
Is the round one that's connected to the ground. The other two flat ones are to conduct electricity, and they are not used. If
Right.
you notice, this one here, in place of conductive metal, has two plastic pieces
Right.
that are in
Right.
there.
Because
That
it's
just helps hold it into the outlet. That's
right.
all it does. They
Right.
could be gone completely, and all you'd use this one as long as the outlet was tightened up where it didn't fall out or get loose.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's what it is.
Right.
And this one single prong connects you to the ground rod that goes into the earth, and that's how you get grounded inside your house. Because, and I have to correct you, Ellen, wood is not milled, lumbered wood is not conductive.
No. No.
Tree, wood, and
Right.
it's,
You can hug a tree. You can hug
it's
a
in,
tree and
right.
get grounded. You cannot get grounding from treated wood. I'm sorry. I
From
didn't
any
mean
wood,
you could
from
get.
any wood that's used to build something. A
Right.
tree
Right.
has
Okay.
roots in the ground and water's traveling through it. If you have a deck that's made out of wood, it's not connected to the
Right.
ground.
Right.
It's not going to be
It's not conduct.
right.
It's not grounding. You
Dry
don't get grounding from that.
dry lumber is not conductive.
Okay. Okay. Got it. All right. All right. So I just recently came from a 3-day weekend of intense exercise. Friday, there were 2 classes. Saturday, there were 3 classes. And then Sunday, there was a class in the morning, which was a real butt kicker. It was a very intense weekend of exercise. And since I'm a seasoned athlete and I believed that I could handle it, I went and I participated in all the classes. Each class was no less than 45 minutes. Some of them were 55 minutes. And normally I do 1 exercise session a day. I don't do 2 and 3 actual classes. So to do this was very, very taxing on my body. Every night I put my feet on my grounding mat. And I would be on the laptop, but I had my feet right on that grounding mat for 30 minutes or more. And I have to say that nothing hurt like I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to be so incredibly sore from this weekend of such intense exercise. And I actually worked out Sunday afternoon. I couldn't believe it. And then Monday I took like a 3-mile walk. And then today I rode my bicycle for 50 minutes. So it didn't stop me because grounding helps you to heal and to repair so much faster. And I strongly recommend that everybody watching this watch the movie, learn about this. Get yourself a grounding mat. You'll get one and you'll have it for the rest of your life. It's not something that you have to buy a new one every year. And it's something that will be one of the best, most healing things. Professional athletes have jumped on and are using grounding mats because they work their bodies very, very hard during practice and during games, and they need to heal quickly for the next event. And they were among the original people that were testing those grounding mats that Clint Ober had designed. And, they reported excellent results. So between them, between the doctor at the Tour de France and the injury that healed within 24 hours, between the multitude of stories from people who have experienced a real difference in their life. They didn't make it up. They feel it. They experience it. It helps. The numbers are there. My blood pressure, my cholesterol down 40 points. I mean, this is all real. This actually happened. So I I just strongly recommend that people investigate. And then if they think that there's something there, that they pursue it. Because connecting consistently with the earth restores a natural source of energy to your body that has been missing all of your life, probably. And it very well may be the reason for chronic inflammation and pain in your body. And if you could rid yourself of this by doing this activity, which really doesn't take any time, because you can go in your backyard and put your feet on the grass if you have grass, and read. You don't have to run around on this. You could go to the beach and put your feet in the sand. You can go, as long as you put your feet on a grounding mat. It doesn't have to take extra time out of a busy day to do this. It is a mindful way to give your body what it needs in an exchange of energy, positives to negatives, and to balance it out. And if you can afford a mat, they're like $30. It's not a big deal, and you'll have it for the rest of your life. If you want to get a sheet, again, they cost like between $200 and $300. But again, you'll have the same one for the rest of your life. So it's not like you have to get a new one. And if you knew that your snoring would stop, that you'd sleep better, that your immune system would be strengthened, that you would be less susceptible to getting sick, and that your body was being balanced out naturally, so that you needed medicine less and less and less, and maybe someday not at all, isn't it worth the investment? Now you have to understand, I don't sell these. I just use them. And I thoroughly believe that the joy of living and the pleasure of living is being healthy. And if you are at one with the earth, that you are part of the earth and you are getting from the earth what you can as a living sentient being on this planet, exchanging with the earth, that it will be much healthier for you. People say to me, I say to them, when was the last time your feet touched the ground? And they say, it doesn't happen. I put my shoes on, I get in a car, I drive where I'm going, I walk in my shoes all day long. They all have, I wear my sneakers, I'm on blacktop, and I don't touch the earth. Yeah. All of these problems out there can definitely benefit by getting your feet on the ground and doing some serious earthing regularly, because it is, as I mentioned, a cumulative effect. And all of that information is in the video. So definitely watch the video.
I just want to add too, Ellen, they're making earthing sandals now.
Yes, I saw.
So as long as you're walking on a conductive surface, like you stated before.
Right.
The street blacktop is not conductive. Concrete is conductive. The earth is conductive. So.
Right. I mean, you could make your own earthing sandals if you're handy with leather, and I can understand why people would want to buy earthing shoes, because then their bare feet don't have to touch the ground. And a lot of people are kind of icky about and if there's a bug or there's a tick or it's an ant or a spider, God knows what's in the grass. Personally speaking, I walk out in the backyard. I'm in my bare feet. I'm hanging my clothes. I'm playing with my dogs. I love it. It feels wonderful to my feet. But for those people who are skittish about touching the ground with their bare feet, the earthing shoes are definitely an excellent idea as well. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we wrap this up?
One other thing you didn't mention was jet lag. If you travel, for a long distance across time zones, everybody knows what jet lag is.
Right.
Many people have been relieving themselves of jet lag by getting out of the airport and grounding for 20 minutes.
Right.
Putting their feet in the grass at the airport, wherever it's available. So
right. We're going to put that to the test soon too. Humanity needs to reconnect to the planet, to our natural electrical state, and to our natural state of good health. And that happens when we ground ourselves, when we earth ourselves. For centuries, people were walking on the ground and they didn't think twice about it. Then we no longer were lying on the earth. Royalty got on a bed and then we got on bed. So that was the first way we disconnected ourselves from the earth. And then, like I said, in 1968, rubber-soled shoes came along and inflammation spiked at the same rate that sneaker sales spiked. So we need to get back to the place where we are getting what we need as an electrical source from the earth on a daily basis to find balance in our lives once again. So I want to thank you very, very much for joining me this evening. We had a good talk, and I appreciate you. And thank you for joining me.
It was a pleasure. I hope our conversation has helped to open up ways for people to relieve stress and illness and inflammation in a very easy method.
Right. Thank you so much, Bruce. Thanks for being here. See you again. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me. I hope this proved to be an interesting topic for you. Pleasure is being healthy, having balance, knowing peace and joy, trusting your body, knowing that you are supported by Mother Earth in more ways than one. So do yourself a favor. Take your shoes off. Go outside and ground on a daily basis. Get your vitamin G for the balance. Do it consistently, and you will feel the difference. If you are paying attention, you'll feel it as soon as you step onto it. Okay? And do it consistently. And if you live in a climate where it gets cold or it rains a lot and you cannot be consistently outside grounding, get yourself an earthing mat, which is only like $30-40, or an earthing sheet if you prefer, and do it that way. It will be the best investment for your health that you will ever make. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you join me again next week for another episode of Your Pleasure Incorporated into Daily Living. I'm your host, Ellen Nicholas Rathbone. My email address, ypi69@hotmail.com, is there. If you need a life coach, if you need to ask a question, or if you have a suggestion for another show, definitely email me. Thank you so much for visiting, and see you again. And don't forget to do your Kegels. Namaste, everybody.